Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we are going to go over the D&D AFR Legends. There are 30 in the set proper. If there are only 4 in the Commander decks, that'll be a separate video. We're just focusing on the main set today. We got all of them, and for several of these, this will be the first time going through it, and we're just going to see what they are and how we're going to build them, and let's get to it. First, we have Icing Death, Frost Tyrant. So for 4, we get a 4/3 dragon, Flying Vigilance. When Icing Death dies, create Icing Death Frost Tongue, a legendary white equipment artifact token with equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and equip to. So when it dies, we get an equipment. Now, this being your commander, this is kind of neat because it dies, we get the equipment, and then it goes back to the command zone. We can recast it and equip the equipment to the commander. Now, granted, when it dies again, Legend Rule takes over because that's a legendary equipment. I really kind of like the flavor here with it dying, and somebody slayed the dragon and they made a weapon out of its tooth or its tongue, as it were. That's neat. How are we building it? Makes an equipment. I could see Voltron. I could see white dragons, maybe? Or tap down. A whole deck maybe focused on tapping opponent's stuff down. Then we got Nadaar, Selfless Paladin. 3 mana, 3/3 Dragon Knight. Oh, we got a Dragonborn. I don't know a whole lot about Dungeons & Dragons, but I know a little bit. 3/3 Vigilance. Whenever Nadaar enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into a dungeon. I was wondering if we were going to get one of those. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. Now, there are 3 dungeons. If you haven't seen them, that might be a good thing to throw into the next video. There is one that is fairly quick. Enters the battlefield or attacks, venture into the dungeon. That is very, very... Now, obviously, we're going to have, it in this particular deck, all of the mono-white venture cards. I don't know how many there are, but we have this one guaranteed in the command zone, right? And, 3 for a 3/3 Vigilance, that's not bad. That has, eventually, it'll be an anthem for your other creatures, so... Not really world-breaking, but, pretty neat. Oswald Fiddlebender. Seems fiddly. 2 mana, 2/2 Gnome Artificer. I love these one-off ability names. Now, I believe what they represent is the spell that they cast or the ability they have. So... White and tap, sack an artifact, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1+ the sacrificer. Oh, so it's a artifact pod. Activate only as a sorcerer. Yeah, it's an artifact pod. So, those artifacts that come into play and they don't do anything while they're in play. What is it? Microsmith Wellspring and that big old 7 mana one. And you can just go up the chain. Now, we're going to want to do this several times a turn because, taking from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, up the chain is 1 per turn cycle. That's kind of slow, so we're going to want to untap this as much as possible. And in white, I don't know if that's... We're going to have to use artifacts. It'll be a heavy, heavy artifact deck. Gnomes. I like it. I haven't seen this one. Grazilaxx. Illithid Scholar? 3 mana, 3/2 blue. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So you draw 1 card if you hit with 1, or if you hit with 10, you're still just drawing 1 card. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked. So this is, Muldrifter was the first thing that was in my mind. Or things with comes into play abilities. Now, the force blocking is a green mechanic, so we don't really have that going for us, like a lure or what have you. But, any ideas here? Horde tribal, maybe? No. I gotta try to stay away from the tribal thing, you know? You studied hard, how delicious. Yeah. Any ideas you got on this one? Shoot them to me. Immorith, Desert Doom. We get a blue dragon up. We've had a white one, a blue one. I'm guessing there is a cycle here of monocolor legendary dragons. 5 mana, 5/5 flyer. Has ward 4 as long as it's untapped. We kind of want to give this vigilance, don't we? Whenever Immorith deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then if you have fewer than 3 cards at hand, draw cards that go to the difference. Oh, so we want to, in order to maximize the value here, we pretty much want to have an empty hand. We want to be playing everything. Blue tap out? Is that right? Not really holding anything? No counters, just like maybe blue aggro, maybe? There's not enough to do blue dragons, but... Acereth, Acerach, the Archlich. 3 mana, 5/5. Wow. When Acerach enters the battlefield, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, that's his personal tomb. I know this art. Return Acerach to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. When Acerach attacks, for each opponent, you create a zombie token, unless that player sacks a creature. Okay, so this is the black force you into the dungeon thing. So obviously we're going to be playing with the Tomb of Annihilation, and you cast it, you just advance further into the dungeon if you haven't completed it yet. So we'll be playing with all of the black venture cards. And this one will probably be a little easier to flesh out the deck because, you know, you've got the whole zombie synergy thing. So that's neat. Asmodeus the Archfiend. 6 mana, 6/6. Binding Contract. Okay. If you would draw a card, exile the top card of your library face down instead. That's not a may, that just happens. 3 mana, draw 7 cards. So you exile the top 7. Black, return all cards exiled with Archfiend to their owner's hand, and you lose that much life. Is this like they tried to fix Griselbrand? So, 6 mana, we cast our commander. There's a good chance we're not going to have the 4 mana to activate him both times that turn. So, you spend 6, and the next turn when you untap, you draw, that's 1 exiled card. You spend 3, that's 7 more exiled cards, so that's a total of 8. And then 1 mana to return them all and lose 8 life. We're definitely going to need some life gain in the deck. And it is life loss, so that is the life loss cards that mirror, you know, whenever I lose, y'all lose. Just like that. That's pretty neat. Yeah, that's exactly a Devil God. That's exactly Binding Contract. Okay. Ebondeath Dracolich. 4 mana, 5/2 zombie dragon. This is what, the second zombie dragon? Flash. Flying. Okay. Enters the battlefield tapped. It's a zombie. Got it. 5/2, though. You may cast Ebondeath from your graveyard if a creature not named Ebondeath died this turn. Oh, wow. So we never have to pay the commander tax. Unless somebody, like, nukes the yard or something. That's neat. When it dies, you can just let it go to the graveyard. And then sack something to your Visara Seer or your altar and, just spend the 4 and cast it. That's neat. And it's a zombie dragon. Maybe this would have been a good commander for my flying zombies that I tried to do, 30 or 40 decks ago. Delina Wild Mage. 4 mana, 3/2 Elf Shaman. Mono red Elf Shaman. Okay. This is one upset elf, apparently. Whenever Delina attacks, choose target creature you control and then roll a d20. Alright. 1 through 14, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary and has exile it at end of combat. Not at end of turn, at end of combat. 15 through 20, create one of those tokens, roll again. Oh, that's sweet. So it's a shoot till you miss. Okay. Now, this is our first rolling a d20. I know mathematically it is a 5% chance of rolling any specific number on a d20, and that does not change whether or not it is a spin-down d20 like we have had forever in the pre-con products and pre-release kits and bundles and whatever. But this set is going to give us actual natural d20s, which, like any a real d20 where it's not a spin-down, the hardcore d20 players will understand the difference here, that evidently there's a difference. I'm not exactly certain. It's still 5% chance per number per roll, but anyway. I like the card, and I'm sure that we'll have some other things to go with it. Inferno of the Star Mounts, our red legendary dragon. 6 mana, 6/6. Can't be countered. Flying, haste. Inferno of the Star Mounts gets +1/+0 until end of turn. When its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target. Well, they found a way to make us care about fire breathing, didn't they? Wow. What is that 5th Dawn card? Red card. 5 mana, add a red mana for each tap land your opponents control. Can't think of the name of the card. Y'all are shouting it to me. Anyway, that's going to get insane with this one. It's only been printed twice, like there and then like one of the Draft Innovation products, Conspiracy, I think. I like it. I mean, you can totally do mono red dragons if that's your thing, or more than likely super mana production. The Cold Snap enchantment is really good here. The Braid of Fire, that's really good. Anything that just mass produces mana, Jessica's Will. Oh yeah, this will be fun to see. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I'm going to do, a fire breathing deck. Not necessarily dragons, but fire breathing. Because there are, other creatures that have red :+1. Yeah, cool. Zalto, Fire Giant Duke. 5 mana, 7/3, Giant Barbarian. The numbers are just so weird. Trample. Whenever Zalto is dealt combat damage, is dealt damage, venture into the dungeon. So this is one of those things that we could do like a Pyrohemia. I kind of want to make this indestructible because we can't get real far. I guess we could Pyrohemia every single turn. Because you don't want to kill Zalto. Pyrohemia is, of course, the red pestilence. You just throw one through it every turn, and by the time the turn cycles around, you finished a dungeon. Zalto might be the one that, because we also, in doing that, we want to do what? The enraged creatures, which are mostly dinosaurs, but things that take damage and you get some kind of an ability out of it. Wow. Yeah, kind of looks like we're building an entire deck around doing damage to our own things. And we'll have to look at some of the others. If there's enough demand, if y'all care enough, I can do a set review on the other cards that are not the legendaries and see what grabs me there. Let me know. Old Gnawbone. That sounds like a green dragon, doesn't it? 7 mana, 7/7 flyer. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. It's interesting in green. Green doesn't have a whole lot. Now, that's a powerful ability, don't get me wrong. And if they had put it in red or black, that would be just remarkable. But it being in green, especially for our purposes, green... Is this... Did I just find a mono green artifact commander? I don't think I've done mono green artifacts. Has to be combat damage. Green is the color of, giving everything trample and whatnot. Just to get a whole bunch of treasure tokens. And maybe... green is the token. Yeah. The Tarrasque. The Tarrasque. Okay. We got a 9 mana 10/10 dinosaur. Okay. It has haste and ward 10 as long as it was cast. So getting it, reanimating it, it doesn't have haste and ward 10. Ward 10 might as well be hexproof, right? Whenever the Tarrasque attacks, it fights target creature defending player control. So, just by declaring it as an attacker, you can take out one of their blockers. When it rises, nations fall. That's a big boy right there. 10/10. Doesn't have the trample. But like I said, green don't really have a problem giving it trample. Varus, Silvery Moon Ranger. I haven't seen this one. 3 mana 3/3 Human Elf Ranger. Reach, ward 1. Okay, whenever you cast a creature or a planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. This ability only triggers once each turn. Whenever you complete a dungeon, create a 2/2 wolf creature token. This feels like a plant for the wolf set, the werewolf set, doesn't it? We have, it's mono green, so we've got like, all the straight good 2/2 wolf cards. The one that 7 mana for each land, so you kind of creature. The fact that it triggers only once each turn, I know they probably had to do that to power level it down because. It's green, and we could just start powering through dungeons over and over. Fill the deck full of 1-drops, and off we go. But, yeah, that's probably what I'll do is, it'll venture into the dungeon, so, yeah. I'll have to look at the 3 dungeons. I know there's one that's a lot quicker than the rest, so do we care about doing that one over and over again, or do we care about completing all 3? I think Varus has the one so far that's probably going to be able to complete all 3 of them reasonably. We're into multicolor now. Barrowin of Clan Under. 2 white, black, 3/3 dwarf cleric. When Barrowin enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. Okay. When it attacks, return up to 1 creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you've completed a dungeon. So now we have red-white dungeon venturing cards. It looks like all of the venture into the dungeon cards, I hope the good ones are commons and uncommons, because we're going to need a bunch. Brunor Battlehammer. That sounds like a dwarf warrior, doesn't it? 2 red and white, 5/3. Dwarf warrior. Please don't be another Boros. Each creature you control gets +2 for each equipment attached to it. Here we go. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate each turn. Now, there's a white card that lets us equip at instant speed. That would be really nice. That way that we could, because we get to equip for free the first equip ability each turn. We could do it on everybody's turn in the turn cycle. So, I like it. It's uncommon. Yeah, there's nothing special here. It's another Boros equipment commander. Which I'm about to run out of equipment. I'll be honest with you. Drizzt Do'Urden. Now, I recognize this name from being a imported character. 5 mana, 3/3 Elf Ranger double strike. 3/3 double strike for 5 in green-white. You don't get that a lot. When Drizzt enters the battlefield, create Boonhauer, a 4/1 cat token with trample. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Somebody help me out. This would be a great set. Gavin, if you're watching, it's wishful thinking, I know. We would like a pronunciation guide. Whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than Drizzt's power, put a number of 1/1 counters onto Drizzt equal to the difference. So the more things that die, the bigger he's going to get. Therefore, the fewer times that ability is going to... So, we want to ramp up if it had power greater than Drizzt. So we want no creatures smaller than a 4 power. We want to start at 4 and go up. And with the difference, we would need more 4s than 5s and more 5s and 6s. You know, kind of up that pyramid. Okay. Farida, Devil's Chosen. We've got a 2 blue, red, 3/3 Tiefling Warlock. Tieflings! I like that we got Tieflings. It's a race in D&D, and now all of our changelings are Tieflings as well. Does that help us at all? No, still not teenage. Tiefling Mutant Ninja Turtle? Okay. Dark One's Own Luck. This is whenever you roll 1 or more die, Farida gains flying and menace until end of turn. If any of those results was 10 or higher, draw a card. That's cool. The pact is a tool, not a damnation. So, whenever you roll a die, it's going to get flying and menace. If you get 10 or higher, you get to draw a card. That's kind of neat. Very izzity. You're not exactly sure what it's going to do, but it's going to do something. Gretchen Tischwillow? I'm going to tell you that Halfling Druid, that art is kind of neat. A green and a blue, 0/4. 2 green and a blue, draw a card. You may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Oh, wow. We've seen that 37 times before. I don't know anything about this particular character in D&D lore. I am guessing that fits this particular character, and that, it's just kind of how it fell. We have this card like a bunch of times over. Well, we all know how we're going to build this one, so we're not going to spend that much time. Hama Pashar, Ruin Seeker. Another beautiful art. The art is just getting... it's Eric. Yeah, Eric does a good job. 1 white, blue, 2, 3 human wizard. Room abilities of dungeons you control, of dungeons you own, trigger an additional time. Oh, that's neat. It's a dungeon monocon? Kalan, recluse, Kalane, yeah. Reclusive painter. Black and a red for a 1/2 human elf bard. When Kalane enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Makes sense. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each mana from a treasure spent to cast them. Okay, so this is the first, like, black-red card, the 2 treasure-heavy colors that care about spending mana from treasures. Ooh. That's going to make a lot of black and red treasure cards hard to find. Because if everybody builds this, those are going to be in quite demand. Krydle of Baldur's Gate. Now, I don't know the name Krydle, but I know the name Baldur's Gate. As a place, I guess. Blue and a black for a 1/3 human elf rogue. Whenever Krydle deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life and mills a card. Then you gain 1 life and scry 1. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2 if you do. Okay, so it's got its own built-in evasion. You can spend 2 mana to make it unblockable, which, you know, cheaper than Rogue's Passage, right? But they lose a life, mill a card. You gain a life and scry 1. That's pretty neat. That's black-red mill? I mean, black-blue mill? No, because by the time they mill out, you will have killed them with commander damage. I like the you may pay 2 to make target creature can't be blocked. Yeah, that may be the way there. Strap up infect equipment on it, you know, maybe. Mint's Beloved Ranger. Now, I don't know anything about this. I've learned a lot about it since the card came out. Go for the eyes, boo. Go for the eyes. Red, green, white for a 3/3 human ranger. When Misk enters the battlefield, create Boo, a legendary red hamster with trample and haste. X:: until end of turn, target creature you control has base power and toughness XX and becomes a giant in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So we have to do this sorcery speed. I like the fact that the hamster that Boo has haste. You can spend the 3 mana to cast. You instantly get Boo. And late game, if you've got mana left over, you can make Boo huge and throw Boo. Go for the eyes, Boo. Yeah. Now, let's look for other applications for this second ability. Until end of turn, target creature you control has base power and toughness. It becomes a giant in addition to its other types. I don't know if any giant synergies would work here. I don't know if it's worth running the Sunrise Sovereign or not. That's awful big just to get +2. Turning things into XXs. We obviously want insane amounts of mana generation so we can pump that X to a big number. Now this does circumvent the rule of... Now granted, you can make Minsk itself big. Target creature you control. It doesn't say other. So yeah, you could do that and commander damage, but the idea of Boo not dealing commander damage, I mean, look at that thing. That's cute. Hamster. Orcus, Prince of Death. X2 black-red, okay, 5/3, flying trample. When Orcus enters the battlefield, choose one. Each other creature gets -X/-X till end of turn. You lose X life. Other creature, that's cool. You can clear the board and just have your your commander there chilling. Or return up to X target creature cards with total mana X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste. Wow, both of those are good. Yeah, both of those are really good. This is a commander we probably want to recast a couple of times. Now, granted, we don't want to try to recast it without commander tax, so that means bouncing it back to our hand, which, like those, that cycle of cards from Plane Shift. Yeah. It is a demon. Flying Trample 5/3. Dice to bolt. Dice removal. Shesra, Death's Whisper. God, what beautiful artwork. Tell me that won't look beautiful foiled. 2 black and a green for a 1/3 human elf warlock. When Shesra enters the battlefield, target creature blocks this turn of Fable. Okay. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died, you may pay 2 life to draw a card. Morbid Greed activation. Okay. Yeah. It's uncommon. Yeah. It ain't gonna set the woods on fire, but, it might be fun. I like Golgari. A lot of death triggers there. Targnar, Demon Fang No. Ladies and gentlemen, we got there. We have a Targ. Is this our first Star Trek MTG crossover? We have a Targ. It is a no. A red and a green for a 2/2. Whenever Targnar attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater, attacking creatures get +1 until end of turn. 2 a red and a green, double Targ's power and toughness till end of turn. That's a big deal right there. That's a big deal. Just being able to keep doubling your commander over and over again in red and green, Green being the mana production color. That's pretty sweet. Tiamat. Oh, what a card. Yeah, I've already got a box, and I have already started building this deck. 2 and Wooburg for a 7/7 flyer. When Tiamat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, can't reanimate it, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle. So, each have different names is not a thing with Commander. They're all going to have different names anyway, right? This is going to be a big deck. I'm looking forward to this a lot. A whole lot. Has to be Tribal Dragons. I mean, Trelasara, Moon Dancer, green-white. Of course the Moon Dancer is Selesnya. 2/2, Elf Cleric. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Trelasara and scry 1. So, whenever you gain, it doesn't care if that instance is 1 life or 10 life. So we want all of these small life gain triggers, Soul Warden, stuff like that, 1 at a time, because those are typically cheap. And then eventually we're going to end up with a real big Moon Dancer. Yep. So it's a life gain and not really Voltron, because we don't really have to put anything on her. I mean, we can just, give it protected a little bit with some boots or whatnot. She needs new shoes. Volo, Guide to Monsters. 2 green to blue for a 3/2 human wizard. Wasn't this the guy that wrote the monster manuals, supposedly? Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a type with a creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. Oh, that's awesome. So this is the anti-changeling deck. We don't want any creatures that share a type, which is going to be rough in the race class system. I might have to go to like playing a lot of creatures that only have one creature type. I know what my ooze is. It's acidic slime. But like Llanowar Elf is an elf druid, so you couldn't use another elf or another druid. Wow, yeah. Whenever you cast it. Because to maximize it, you want every creature to have a different type in green and blue. That's going to be fun to build, I'll tell you that. It's a puzzle to solve. Xanathar, Guild Kingpin. We have a Beholder, ladies and gentlemen. 4 blue and a black for a 5/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library anytime. You may play the top card of their library, and you can spend mana or mana of any color to cast spells this way. So this is, there was an old 3-color legend that was similar. This just shaves a color off, and now it's just Dimir. Okay. It's the eye of the beholder. And that is it for the Legends of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Y'all let me know what you think, and there's a possibility here of 2 more other videos we could do. The Commander decks, and then the non-legend cards from the AFR proper. So we will see y'all next time, and thank you all so much. Have a good one.